Whew. Okay, so I got pho from Tank Noodle. The guy was so nice. And yeah, they don't really have a lot of appetizers. They have these like sriracha fries that are okay, but I'm not like the biggest fan. So I always just stick with the spring rolls. And today I got a sliced beef pho. This is kind of like a peanut sauce. So I got my squirter on me so I can squirt these cats. I wasn't gonna say the P word again. Like, I feel like I'm just overusing it at this point. She agrees. I'm having like a day. I got my big ass chopsticks again. I was watching some mukbangers and it was driving me crazy that they just wouldn't use a freaking fork. So please be honest with me. I lost my little spoon. I had like a fuzz spoon. I need to find it again. Alita likes to jump up on the furniture. Wildin'. Fun fact, I was supposed to be left-handed, y'all. Theoretically, I still should be, but it's really difficult for me to use my left hand. It's a really crazy, like, weird short story, though, if you're interested, because parents are weird. That's so spicy. I asked for these, like, Thai chili peppers and chili oil, and I feel like I just get ahead of my butthole. Like, I want it, and then I realize afterwards that, like, I shouldn't have done that. I was gonna get chicken, but the sliced beef sounded good. It just kind of freaked me out how it was like raw and like bloody when you open it. And then I guess like the pho cooks itself. This was inspired by Gabby, I can't say her last name, Gabby E. I'm not even gonna try to say it. I will not butcher her name, but she had these really good crab rangoons, and unfortunately Tang didn't have crab rangoons. Even if they did, I know they wouldn't be as good as the one she was eating, but she had said that she heard that pho is good for your digestion. So let's go. I was recently thinking about all the bitches I've encountered throughout my life. I'm sure they could say the same for me. Like, where the animosity comes from. And there's just one that really comes to mind, y'all. Hear me out. This one, I don't want to say it tastes like cake, but almost tastes like cake. It was interesting. I'm gonna call this girl, and like it's her name abbreviated. Like, oh shit, like she's talking about me, and maybe see a different side to it. And I'll just abbreviate her thing, CC. So CC was in most of my classes. Like, she was just always around. I just took a whole bite of a jalapeno. It's just spicy. I don't know, there's just like something about her. I wanted to be her friend. At first, freshman year, in the very, very beginning, she seemed so nice. So crazy. Now, I will say there were a few girls in our class, including myself and Cece, that kind of looked similar. So they would all compare us, kind of. For me, this is just my opinion, I never saw her as attractive. There's just something about her that, like, in the face, just like she wasn't ugly, but like she wasn't like, I wasn't like astonished by her, but everybody else was. Girls, guys, like there was just like something about Cece where people are just enamored, and she had like a really banging bod. So she's a bad bitch. Like, she's bad as hell, but just remember that the prettier you are, the crazier you are, usually. So maybe it started getting a little bit competitive. I'm not sure, but mind you, we went to an all-girls school, but we all were, you know, we all knew like the same people who went to different schools. We all knew, like everybody knew of people through people. It was like 6 degrees of separation. So if you were banging a dude named Brian, someone else probably definitely was. And oh man. So much competition. And honestly, that's why I chose to go to an all-girls school, because I didn't want to deal with that. And I still dealt with it, but it was a lot less than what I would have dealt with if I went to a co-ed school. Because, man, bitches are vicious. Over the D, like whack-ass D, like from high school. Like, calm down, bro. Whack. Well, kind of made her own friends that didn't really like me, so she would kind of like talk shit, say shady things, and like laugh and joke in my face. Like one time I had a really bad breakout and she was like, mole, 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 and like laughing in the hallway. Like, so mature, right? We're like 15, 16 years old. Like, fuck off. But I was always really nice to her still. And I never really like tried to win her over. But towards like end of junior year, senior year, we actually somehow became really close. Like we started hanging out alone, and she like kind of like went away from the other group of people that didn't really fuck with me too much. So then when I'm 17 turning 18, she introduces me to this guy that's her boyfriend's friend that ended up dating for 2 years. This was the same guy that left me in the middle of fucking Boys Town. We dated for 2 years. We officially stopped talking. He's being sweet. Like, this is the one that almost died. Like, I'm not gonna kick him off. Okay, I might. I'm sorry, leave. I don't want to squirt you. Okay, thank you. I got some noodles on him though, fuck. So this is where it starts to like, it was fine. Like, it wasn't anything weird. But I always thought that her boyfriend was really attractive. And he was a ladies' man. Like, everybody loved this guy. And honestly, it wasn't like I was trying to hang out with her just to get with her boyfriend or anything. But at the time, I really did like my my boyfriend, who we dated until I was like 19. I met my long-term boyfriend at 19. Then I like messed around with him one more time before I became serious about my then boyfriend. Lost touch, and then at like, I don't know how old I was, but it was before I was 30. It was like 28, 29. We tried to like hang out again, and then that's when he like bailed on me that night. I'm just saying this like you've been following me and you know what I'm talking about. I'm just trying to give you the timeline so you're not like, you weren't 17 when that happened. So mind you, like, Cece bullied me. Like, I forgot a lot about it, but she was hella mean. And it didn't help that she was really good friends. My freshman year, she was so mean. My freshman, sophomore year, she was really good friends with the girl that my first boyfriend cheated on me with, who he went to homecoming with, like right after all that happened. And I remember hearing Cece outside in the hallway before our first class started that we shared together. The girl was like a year older than us. And she's like, oh my God, you look so pretty. Bitch, that girl looked like a fucking penguin, bro. Like, I'm not even being a hater, but like, I never understood like what dude saw. Physically, like, she just looked like a penguin. Not Cece, the other girl. That story is definitely for a different day. Like, she tried to be my friend. It's kind of crazy. I did the same thing to Cece that this girl did to me. Because Penguin was friends with me and then ended up hooking up with my boyfriend while we were dating. And instead of leaving them both, I dealt with their shit, and then it just got bad. Different story for a different day. But she was really good friends with Penguin. So obviously once Penguin graduated, because she was a year older, we became closer, me and Cece, in like senior year, when we started dating guys who were friends. Like, we started hanging out with like the clique, you know? Well, I just gave you a spoiler alert, but nothing happened with me and her boyfriend. I'm not gonna say his name. Because we all know, like, we'll know who he is. Yeah. I'll call him PB. Yeah. So everything was fine. But then once me and my then boyfriend broke up, I'm not sure like where this all transitioned, but basically what the fuck happened? Oh my god, it's crazy. So this guy and I break up, but I'm still hanging out with Cece and her man. Now, unbeknownst to me at the time, her man was a dog. Like, he is a dirty, low-life dog. And at first, for years, I really, like, not looked up to him, but thought that, you know, he was, like, a stand-up guy and all this stuff. But apparently, he was a dog. He was always cheating on her. They didn't have, like, they had a toxic relationship, like, but I would be the third wheel and, like, go to parties with them, and, you know, it was just whatever. So, at this point, I'm 18 years old, and I'm in my senior year, because my birthday was late. So my birthday's in October. So I was like technically like a year behind. I should have been in Penguin's grade. But at some point, we were like hanging out. And I'll just get to the gist of it because it was just crazy. We were wild kids doing wild things, okay? So, I think we were like drinking or something. It was something crazy. It was like a crazy night. I think at PB's house. Yeah. And then she passes out, right? And like we're all in the bed together, like weird shit. Like, I remember it was something weird because there was, like, no Uber or Lyft at the time. And I didn't have my car, so I couldn't leave. And I think, like, I just remember I just couldn't leave. And I had to, like, wait for Carol. Like, there was just no way I could leave. I don't know why. I just could have called a taxi, something. I don't know. I didn't go. But this guy tries messing around with me while she's in the bed. Okay? And it's just us. Like, there's no one else there. And I'm not saying, like, I did this to be vindictive. I put myself in a really bad situation. Like, I realized then that he was a dog. So, being impressionable and being in a bad situation, I'm not making excuses for it because I was really young. And I always, like, kind of wanted him, too, you know? Like, I always thought he was attractive. But being that young, I didn't see at the time, like, how that wasn't normal. Even though, deep down, like, I knew that it wasn't. So, me not realizing this at the time, me reflecting back on this now, he was horny. Like, he just wanted to do stuff. I was like, yeah, I can't do anything. And then he's like, well, just give me a hand job. Like, do something, like, bro. And I don't know. Like, I have no excuses. I have no reason. Like, there's a part of me that wanted to do it out of vindication, out of revenge for this girl being so mean to me, even though we had become friends. Like, it didn't ever really feel genuine. So I gave him a really short, angry hand job. And I don't even, like, and it was right in front of her. Like, it's disgusting. Like, it's some bottom of the barrel shit, okay? Like, My life was an episode of Degrassi. Like, it was fucked up. Like, I've done some fucked up things that I just look back and I'm like, why did you do that? It didn't feel right. It obviously felt disgusting, and I even forgot how I got out of the situation. Like, I just, like, she didn't even wake up. Like, it was terrible. Like, it was like, but like, she knew what was going on, because I guess, like, I don't know, it was so fucked up. Like, you say it out loud, it's just like, I can honestly say though that, like, I did it out of, like, protecting myself, like, trying to get out of that situation, and also being like, yeah, fuck this bitch. Well, I obviously feel fucking terrible about this. And my dumbass told one of our mutual friends, a friend that I still don't know who told her, but now looking back on it, I think it was actually my really good friend that I would have never thought did that at the time, because she ended up being really shitty years later. And this was like right before prom, when we were all gonna go to prom together. And Cece just comes up to me and she's like, what the fuck is this shit that I'm hearing, blah, blah, blah. And like, I was fucking scared, you know? Well, I don't even know what happened, but like, obviously, like, we went to prom, like, we were in the same group, and like, we all tried to let it go. Like, we didn't end up fighting each other, but there was obviously a lot of animosity. That was fucked up on my accord. It was a revenge thing. And I'm not condoning it, because she was mean to me and bullied me, but it was just an accumulation of things. Like, that was my reasoning. It was like tit for tat. And honestly, it felt good to know that, like, he, like, at the time, like, I felt like he was attracted to me, but he was just a dog. Like, he just wanted anybody. Like, it didn't matter who was there. Like, he was just, the stories I would hear after the fact, like, he's just a low-life, dirty scumbag. So somehow I reconnected in college, and we tried, like, I thought, like, we let bygones be bygones. And then she ended up getting back with that guy. And then we thought that we could just go back to normal, y'all. Like, it really seemed like it. It really seemed like the start of a new leaf. She was so cool. Like, I was, like, letting go of the things from high school and stuff. And then one day, you know that game, Never Have I Ever? Oh my God. We were drinking and she felt some type of way. She wasn't even drunk. She was just like, hey, never have I ever, like, messed around with my significant other while the other one was knocked out in the same bed. And me and this guy are looking at each other like, oh my God, she did it. She did. Like, okay, well deserved. But then other people were like, wait, what? Like, you mean in the same bed, like, while you're knocked out? Like, so obviously no one drank, and like, we had to drink. Because if we didn't, she would have called us out anyway. So we're just like, oh, this is so fucked up. I'm so sorry I did that to you. Oh. So we were still friends after that. I don't know, we just had like such a toxic relationship. Now, my brother passed away after my senior year. So like my freshman year, I was like 19. And I was going through a really bad time, and I didn't even realize it, but anytime that I would get drunk, I would just start crying about him and looking for sympathy in strangers, and like telling them like what happened and just sad stuff. So one night we go to the club. I forgot what it was called, Soundtrack or something. I don't fucking know, but it was like some techno club. And I forget how old I am, but we're like very early 20s, like 21, 22. And we just like, we got drunk. And I remember walking back to the car. I'm not sure what we got in a fight about. It wasn't even over PB, but it was me, her, and PB. And we're walking back to the car in the middle of the night. PB drove. So it was me, CC, and PB. We parked across the street and we're walking. And then I just remember saying something about my brother dying and like looking for sympathy. And I was like, fuck you, you don't know what it's like, blah, blah, blah. And then she just attacks me. She attacks me in the parking lot. Like, I just remember being attacked and fumbling over like a tumbleweed. And just pulling hair, pulling a lot of hair. And PB didn't even break it up. He just kept yelling, stop, stop, stop. And then somebody else who was parked next to us, it was a couple, stopped it, or they were like, stop, like the cops are coming or whatever. So we all got in the car. The couple gets in the car and I'm so upset. I'm like crying profusely because I'm just thinking about my brother. I'm thinking about how much of a bitch this girl is. I'm thinking about all of how I treated her and how she treated me, and like how it was just a toxic relationship from the jump, and like what I was even trying to like acquire from that friendship. Like maybe it was status because she was like the cool girl. But I remember the girl in the car was really, really drunk, and she was like, oh, you're gorgeous. She's so hideous, like talking about me. But I'm like, at the time, I like wanted to tell that bitch off, but I was too upset and like crying where I didn't give a fuck what she said. Like she was trying to make Cece feel better and being like, well, because Cece told her all of our business in 5 seconds. And she's like, well, that girl's fucking ugly. Like, you're so gorgeous. And like, again, everybody just like loved this bitch. And I really thought about that, and I still think about that, where I was like, what was she trying to, like that stranger trying to achieve? Like, she was trying to make her feel better and being like, well, you're better than her. Like, she's not as good as you are. And if your boyfriend doesn't see that, then he's a dumbass kind of thing. And it didn't really make me feel any type of way at the moment because I was too upset. But looking back on it, like, I could tell that she was just being like a drunk bitch trying to make this bitch feel better. Plus, I'm fucking crying. Like, obviously. But, you know, it's just an act of comparison. And I think that's what I had been thinking about, and what I was going to talk to you guys about is like the comparisons and stuff. And that's like how I got to this point. But I remember being in the car and crying, and he's like, well, I gotta take you home. Like, he was like, I gotta take you home first. And she was not happy about that. Like, I don't even know, like we just argued, like they argued the whole time, and I was crying the whole time home. They lived in my general area. I don't even know how he finessed it, but he's like, no, bitch, like I'm dropping you off first. Like, they had a very toxic relationship. And I remember being in the car, like calming down on the crying and like looking out the window, and she's like talking to him like this on her knees, and he's like talking to her, and they're fighting back and forth, and she's like pleading for him and stuff. And he's just like, whatever, bitch. Like, I gotta take her home. Like, he finessed it so much. Like, he was like, no, I'm taking you home, then I'm dropping her off. And I think that's what she was upset about. She was like, no, you need to drop her off first. I was just too upset. I was crying. I didn't care what was going on. But the way that I saw it when I was looking out at the porch, I was like, she's so pathetic. Like, we all are as women. Like, I've been there. But I'm like, man, like, that guy's dick, like, he must have really good dick or something, because they are toxic. So he drops me off, and I just remember like crying, and he used that opportunity to try and make out with me. And she didn't know that. She still doesn't know that to this day. She probably wouldn't believe me. But then that's when I really saw like how much, like not all the time before, how much of a lowlife he was. I'm like, bro, this guy is so disgusting. Like, he's lying to his girlfriend. And I realized then, you know, when that girl was like, oh, she's ugly, like, you're gorgeous. Like, it didn't matter what I looked like. It didn't matter who I was. You know, like, when girls have competition and they try to tear each other down, like, over a dude, right? At the end of the day, what we don't realize as females is that, I mean, I realize it now as I'm older, is that it doesn't matter what you look like. It's an opportunity for that person if they want to take it and like they want to like seek that power, like the way that he sought that power by dropping her off first and just manipulating the situation. I'm not saying he's a bad guy, but we were all in the wrong in our own ways, you know? It's like parts of us that mirror all of us, you know? And I like kept trying to push him away, and I was like talking. I was like, well, that girl thinks I'm ugly. Like, you know what? And he's like, no, like, blah, blah, blah. Like, you're so this and that. But I realized, like, it didn't matter what I looked like. You know? Like, when us women spend thousands of dollars not only doing our hair, nails, and makeup, but altering our bodies to, like, look better than the next bitch. And, like, when you realize that it'll never be enough, no matter how much nip, tuck, and suck, and you plump your lips and all these things, like, you can be aesthetically perfect, like a Barbie doll, okay? But if you don't have things, like, on the inside fixed out and sorted out, and you know who you are, and, like, have a strong identity and stuff, if a man does you dirty, like, you're gonna think that it's something about you. Like, oh, well, like, when I was 15, 16, and my ex did all those dirty things, and all the girls were talking about my looks or how fat I was and this and that, I could have been the most perfect girl in the world on the outside, and it wouldn't have mattered. He still would have done those things because he did do those things to the girls who were more beautiful and, you know, had nicer bodies. Like, you know, I think we get to a point in our lives where we realize that it has nothing to do with how we look. We can be the baddest bitch on the planet, and a man's gonna do whatever a man wants to do. It just is a character thing. So all this time that we spent fighting with other women, girls, over dick, it's sad. But at the time, I was like seeing myself through the eyes of others when people just kept telling me how ugly I was. You know, you see all those movies where the beautiful character is bullied and is like told like how she's so this and this and this, and it's just like, what's the point of doing that? To make them feel worse about themselves? To make them feel like they're less worthy? To lessen their value as a human, as a woman in society? But yeah, I never told that part to anybody except that I am now. He still tried to put the moves on me. And then years later, I ran into her in Wrigleyville, and she looked totally different. Like, she was never fat, but she lost so much weight to the point where, like, it was a little scary. And then, like, that was, like, one of the last times I ever seen her. Like, she fell off the face of the earth. Like, she doesn't have social media. Like, I have no idea what's going on with her. Like, she can either be in the same exact spot or she's married and has kids by now. But yeah, I mean, she was a good time. Like, I had so many good memories with her. I loved making her laugh. And I wouldn't take back that friendship. I definitely would have done things a lot differently. I think things would have been different. Like, I probably would have done the same things, but a lot of it was driven by revenge and, like, a tit for tat. I'm not proud of the things that I've done, but I'm gonna be real authentic with y'all. Make you feel a little bit better about yourself or your life situation. And I think that was me. Since I couldn't take vengeance on Penguin, that was like me taking vengeance on Penguin vicariously through this bitch. Well, that was an uncomfortable story. Oh, no. I feel too real with y'all.